So I'm going to show you briefly also, there's programs you can get online that can help you with formulation as well. This one here is Sheepbytes. You can see it if you go to sheepbytes.ca. It's a paid subscription. I think you can get a practice one for a little while to try it out. But I just want to give a brief introduction to this program as well. And if you really struggle with doing the Excel, this may be an option for you. It essentially does the exact same thing. So here you can see we'll get back to this tab right here. It's a ration tab. And then we can move forward. We're going to find our animal. So here, first of all, we're going to find the class of animal, and we're going to choose a mature ewe in this case. You can choose whichever one fits the animal you're trying to formulate for. And then we're going to go to what type of her situation is. So I'm going to say it's early lactation, first 6 weeks of lactation. She's an 80 kilogram ewe, so I'll put in the 80 kilograms. Her body condition score at 3, and that we're going to put the number of that she had triplets in there again, similar to the example that I gave on the other video. You can see this one has a little bit more detail because it talks about her condition score and so forth. Wool depth, that makes a difference in terms of requirements, so we can get a little bit more specific in terms of the requirements it has. Once you get this filled out, if you like, you can actually save it. That way you can just pull it back up. This is a sheep on my farm. I don't have to change things. I can just pull it back up. The animal modifications is just if you want to change the predicted dry matter intake or anything like this. The only number I would probably change on here would be my predicted dry matter intake. So if I knew, for example, let's say it predicted the animals were going to eat, and I'm just going to come up with a silly number just because it's easy for calculations, 10 kilograms of feed a day, that's what it predicts, but yours only eat 8 kilograms, then I would do it as, I would just make this 80% of predicted, so that I had that automatically set into my program. But other than that, maybe again, if you realize that you try a little bit extra protein and you get a little bit better luck with that, you may want to increase it. But just don't go changing that too quickly. Just go with the defaults is probably the safest. Once I go to feeds here, you can see I can list all the different types of feeds. I can either list all of them, or I can click on different subclasses. So I'm going to go here, my hay, and I think I had a first cut hay. You can see I have a bunch that of feeds I've saved over time. Sorry, I'm going to go back to that hay, and I'm going to try to find something that might look like a bit of a second cut hay. If you can also do a mixture of 2 hays. So I'm going to do this alfalfa grass hay right here. So I hit add, and now it's been added into my feed. I'm going to go over now to grains because I had corn in there as well, and I'm going to go to corn grain and I'm going to add it as well. You can see every time you add it, it says it's in. Byproducts would be like the distillers grains that I fed, so corn distillers. This number right here would be the one I'm looking for, so I can add that one in. And I think I also had silage. I think I also had corn silage in that last one. So again, I can look through here and find the one that best suits me, and that would be it right there. And if I have a vitamin mineral mix or something like that, I could put in my limestone, which I see here is 34%. I think I said 36%, so I wasn't very far off. I'm going to add limestone, and let's say just a 2-to-1 mineral added as well. So once I get all of those added, I can come back here into my ration, and here you can see it now lists the recommended nutrients per day. This is how much I need going all the way across here, across the bottom, and then how much is supplied. Right now, nothing is being supplied because I don't have anything in here yet. One of the things I would recommend you change relatively quickly on is you change this number right here, toggle the energy. Right now it has net energy. I really don't trust these net energy numbers. I'm quite skeptical that they're accurate anyways, and if they are being used, they're just being done as a calculation probably off of TDN anyways. So I just click on that, and I like to use the TDN numbers personally. Yeah, if I had confidence in the net energy numbers, they would of course be better. But I just don't have a lot of confidence in them. So here you see I have the feeds, and now what I can do is I can put in the different amounts of feeds that I want for this animal. It's predicting again that this animal is going to eat 2.06 kilograms a day of feed. And so what I usually do if I'm going to formulate this one is I put 2.06. This one does not formulate like the Pearson square did in our last one. This one you have to just keep on changing the numbers until you get the balance right. So here you can see just by putting in that amount of alfalfa grass hay, I actually have met the requirements for protein. I've more than met the requirements for calcium, but I'm short on energy. I'm going to lose energy. I'm going to lose a half a condition score in about 134 days. You know what? In early lactation, that's maybe not a horrible situation, but you know, I can put a little bit of corn in here as well. Notice I can either put it in as fed or as dry matter, and it'll calculate the other one automatically. So now what I usually recommend is whatever you take out of one, you put into another. So let's say I'm going to take out 100 grams of that. I will now put that in as corn grain and see what happens. Now my protein's starting to struggle a little bit. You see how my protein has dropped? So if I'm going to do that again, I'm going to go to 1.86. This time I probably am going to add it as corn distillers. That way I can keep my protein levels up where I need them to be. They're a little high now, and I'm starting to move that energy up. So maybe I'll make this 1.66 and go put that into the corn grain. And you can see as I'm going down, once that protein gets too low, maybe instead of putting it in corn grain, I'm going to put it into corn distillers. The corn distillers will provide some of that energy, and so will the corn grain, but I don't need to use the corn distillers unless I don't have enough protein in there. And I can just keep on again playing those up. One of the things I would do as well, usually again, if my vitamin mineral premix is saying that I need to have 1% in there, and I'm feeding 2.06, so I'll just times that by the 1% and get 0.02. So I can just go right up here to 0.02 of my vitamin mineral premix in there. Hopefully that corrects it enough. If it didn't, maybe I'm going to have to increase it a little bit more. So maybe I'm going to go to 0.03. And I'm just going to take a wild guess that there's not a lot of phosphorus in this particular diet. Yeah, it's not coming up with any phosphorus. So I'm going to have to go back into the library and find another phosphorus in order to fix that. But you can then, again, it's got all the minerals down here. If I scoot this across, I can see also this program uses effective NDF as a predictor. You need about 20% effective NDF in a beef cow's diet in order to maintain her rumen pH. So the assumption is it'll be the same for sheep. If you're doing a market lamb, you'll notice this number drops down to about 8% because in a steer, that's the number that they usually target. Okay, so you can just go across here and you can use, see that. You can see where our balances are right. They've got some other numbers in here. I actually honestly don't use many of these numbers very often. The calcium to phosphorus ratio I look at. The copper to molybdenum ratio, those two use the same transporter. So if you start getting a high copper to molybdenum ratio, you may be getting into issues of copper toxicity if this number starts going above the requirement. So you want to just be careful about that as well. There may be other numbers that you're used to thinking about as feed intake as a percentage of body weight. 2 to 3% is kind of normal for a lactating ewe, so that you can see again that you're in that ballpark there. So you can just basically see, I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time, maybe just showing that this is how you can do it. Other things you can do is if you are going to buy a ready-made feed from a feed company, you can create a mix with it. So once you get it all together, you can put them together. So I can click, for example, let's say these two are going to be put together into one thing. I can then hit create mix. And then it will just hold those percentages together always. When you change one, it changes the two of them together, and you can work with that. And so that's what, for example, I've done with my sheep here at the college and my sheep at home, is I have a supplement that I've come up with that is good for the market lambs, and I can use that same supplement for my ewes. And so I just put that mix together into this program if I want, call it a mix, and then I can just give more or less of it with the different types of hay that I'm feeding and find out what my balance will look like. So again, there's programs like this that you can use as well. Helpful. Make sure you save it. You can go up here and hit. You have to title it. Okay, so you're going to call it U Diet 1 or something like that, and then click over here in that and hit save or save as, and make sure you save that in there so that you can pull it up when you want to use it again another time. I'm just going to leave it at that. I think just a very brief introduction. You can download the program, or it's a web-based program, so you can just use it wherever you are, and it's worth thinking about that program being useful for you.